It's not your camera, it's sideways on purpose. Yo, this is your Coach Renz. And I want to thank everybody for spending this time with me. Thank you for coming over from YouTube and subscribing onto this page. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe at the bottom and hit that bell icon so you get notifications. Notifications like last night when I did a live cast on finances and credit that you may have missed. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today, but it's going to be from a totally different perspective. Now, for all my patrons, I appreciate you guys, and all my subscribers, I appreciate you as well. And later on today, there'll be another video that'll come out, and I'll tell you who the winner is of these bracelets, and we'll have another a chance to win something else after that tomorrow. So here's the deal. So after discussing with the people on the live podcast last night about finances and money, it made me think about a subject that I've talked about many times before, but I want you guys to understand something different about it. You see, this morning, as I scroll through Facebook and I'm checking out some of the content while I'm doing some thinking, I see a lot of people arguing about who's greatest. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan, LeBron. At the end of the day, I'm thinking, what does it matter? Last night I was doing some research and I was looking at coffee shops all throughout the city of Atlanta, where they're located. I love coffee. So I'm thinking about where they're located, and I'm seeing the gaps. And I'm recognizing who lives in those gaps. And I'm thinking about why. Why are there gaps there? Then, this morning, I was shown a video with this couple who's in this restaurant called Sambuca's. I think it was in Texas, where they paid their way in. They paid their way in. They paid their fare. They paid their fee. They were sitting at the table. And then all of a sudden, they were asked to move. But they refused to move. So then the owner, not the owner, but the management decided that they was going to go into a tirade about how they don't like them. And then they said that I'm going to call the police and tell them that you're trespassing. But they paid their fare. They paid their fee. Now they left, but they stood across the street and watched the cops rush in there as if they was going to grab some terrorist. So when I put all that together, it reminds me of some things that Malcolm X had talked about. It reminds me of some Malcolm X speeches that I used to listen to way back in the 1990s. And what's so good about it is that they've stuck with me. They stuck with me. The mentality has stuck with me. Here's the thing. And I'm going to paraphrase because I can't quote him. I'm not going to quote everything he said. But I'm going to paraphrase it for you. The first problem that we have is that our leadership is entertainers. Our focus is entertainment. You have to realize that entertainers and entertainment are puppets. These are puppets. They're not controlling their own speech. People are mad right now because what Kanye West said. You shouldn't care about what Kanye West said. Kanye West should not be propped up as a leader. I hate the fact that people say that he looked like he could be my little brother. It gets on my nerves. But he should not be propped up as if he speaks, as if he has a voice for black people. Because his voice is not for black people. It doesn't matter even if it was a comedian. Yes, I love comedians because sometimes what comedians do is that they tell the truth, but they tell it in a way that makes you laugh. They tell the truth, but they tell it in a way that makes you say, man, that's true, but you laugh. You don't take it seriously. Dick Gregory had to stop being a comedian in order to become a black activist. But back in the day when King and Malcolm were marching, Harry Belafonte, Lena Horne, these people, I appreciate what they did, but they are not our leaders. The ones who were the leaders of that day missed the mark. The ones who were the leader after that day have missed the mark. The ones who are the leaders today are missing the mark. But the problem is that we've been conditioned to gravitate towards entertainers, towards comedians, towards actors, towards book writers, towards people who are athletes. We've been conditioned to look to them for leadership, to look for them to lead the way. Colin Kaepernick took a knee, and I appreciate what you're doing. And I appreciate what you did. And if they did blackball you, have a private meeting to blackball you, then go get your change, go get your chips. But Colin Kaepernick is not leading a movement. Colin Kaepernick is not calling for black people to build businesses in their own communities and to support those businesses. Colin Kaepernick is talking about a worthy cause. It's a very, very worthy cause. And I don't take anything away from any entertainer who uses their podium to try to help and benefit people. But what I'm telling you, for the masses, they are not our leaders. They are not the ones who are going to institute our businesses in black communities and then convince the black people, change the mentality of black people to support those businesses. You see, here's something that we all can agree on and we'll all complain about, but yet we won't do it. And that's why this video is sideways, because our mindset is so sideways. We can see the real picture, but then we won't get our vision correct. To this day, Europeans from poor countries and middle-class countries, they can come to America. They can come from Czechoslovakia. They'll go into a community that's filled with Czechs. They'll come from Bosnia and they'll go to a community filled with Bosnians. They'll come from Greece and go to a community filled with Greeks. They'll go to those areas. They'll build a business. They'll open up a store. They'll pull their nickels and dimes together and they'll build a business, build a store, and people in that community will support that business. Mexicans, Latin people come to America. They come to cities like Atlanta. They take over an entire street. Buford Highway is filled with Spanish business. They'll come and take over an entire area. Koreans will come take over an entire area. Laotians take over an entire area. These people will come. Vietnamese take over an entire area, take over entire areas, and they will build a business, and then it's supported by their own people. These people are coming today. I'm not talking about 50 years ago. I'm not talking about 100 years ago. Today. Even from Africa. In Atlanta, I can take you to an area of town where it's filled with Nigerians. I can take you to a part of town that's filled with Liberians, and they come and they build their stores and they support their own kind. They support people from their own culture. But black Americans, we were duped. The entertainers and the leaders 50 years ago convinced us that we need to integrate, convinced us that we need to abandon the businesses in our own community. You see, what they were trying to do as far as getting equal rights to vote, getting the equal opportunity to achieve whatever it is you have the talent and the drive to achieve, that they were on point. But where they missed the mark is convincing us that we need to sit at the counter, the lunch counter of a business of somebody who hates you. They convinced us that we should picket and boycott if somebody doesn't want to take our money and treat us with dignity. That we need to force them to take our money. You see, I've had my stance with Starbucks. And even though I understand that one idiot does not make the company, this general manager at Sambucas was an idiot. But the company hired the idiot. Now, what the company is apologizing. The company is trying to make amends. And I'll watch and see what a company does when it comes to that. But the fact remains that we're still our mentality is trying to force people to take our money who do not give you your dignity. And that's the first thing that we have to do in order for us to get that dignity, in order for us to be able to go to the white person's business, the white person's factory, the Korean person's business, the Laotian's business, the Vietnamese business, the Greek business, the Italian business, and get and have our respect, is that first we have to get and have our own respect for ourselves. That's why we sideways. We have to get our own respect for ourselves. Now we got so-called leaders. They're the ones who run the churches. They're the ones who run the politics in your community. We have our so-called leaders, the ones who are the principals and the teachers. But these leaders aren't doing what's necessary. We have some businesses, but those businesses aren't being ran in such a way that they create opportunity for people in their community. They may create a job for themselves and their family, but they're not creating opportunity for their community. I'm looking and I'm studying where there are gaps in the coffee business in the city of Atlanta. I see tons of opportunity. I understand Starbucks goes for where the higher income is, go for the medium to high income areas. I get that. But there are some areas that there are gaps. There are some areas that they won't touch. There's some areas that you can go in and you can open up that coffee business and you can get the clientele. Now, here's the difference though. You can't get in that space and then run your business like it's a hood business. I'm sorry, but too many of our businesses are run like hood businesses. If I went to these certain areas of town and opened up, I know that one of the things I'm going to have to ensure is that loitering and vagrancy is not going on in my space, at my space. I have to make sure that my customer service is top notch. I have to make sure that my product is top notch. And then I have to make sure that my marketing is top notch, because I know that I have to attract a certain type of person to that type of business. Not everyone is going to spend $5 on a cup of coffee, on some gourmet up coffee. Not everyone's going to do it. I know there's certain people who will spend that money. I know that if I create this space, that when I create this space, that I know that it has to have Wi-Fi, it has to have comfortable seating, it has to be systemized, it has to have good foods or small edibles that people can eat. It has to be set up in a way that there is no difference from you being here or you being in Midtown or downtown. There's no difference from you being here than you being in Buckhead or Druid Hills. There's no difference here than you being in Sandy Springs, Alpharetta, Marietta. It has to be the exact same way. It has to have the same quality. Otherwise, you're going to lose. And when I hire the people in that community, those employees can't look at this job as something that they own, something that they have a right to. They have to work to earn it, to keep it. They have to work to keep it. They have to earn that job every day. They have to understand the importance of customer service. They have to understand the importance of cleanliness. I know that my employees have to be raised a certain way in the company. We have to run our businesses like that, and we're not. On the whole, we're not. Yes, there are always some who are, but on the whole, we're not. And that's what we have to do. Matter of fact, I was at I was at a bank yesterday, and the banker was telling me how a business owner in the black community, a black business owner, she comes into that bank. She has all kind of nasty attitude, but then she expects people to support her business. You have to recognize that however you are in public is how people perceive your business. So you can't go around having a nasty attitude and expect people to support you, then get mad when people don't support you. You got to build your business correctly. You have to build the industry correctly. You have to have the same type vision that a big business does. See, we're sideways. That's why this is being recorded sideways. Companies in 2000 were talking about their 2020 plan because they were looking 20 years down the line. Companies now are looking at their 2040 plan. They're looking at their 2050 plans. You see, you need to understand that in business, if in 10 years you're successful, that's called an overnight success. 10 years. Many black people don't have the patience. They don't have the understanding that business doesn't, in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you're not successful. It doesn't happen that way. 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you may have created a job for yourself, but you have not created a successful business yet. That 10 years is an overnight success. That most of the time to create a successful, sustainable business takes at least 20 years. 20 years, 30 years of going at it. There's a company in Atlanta, it has 7 shops, right? 7 restaurants now. They're considered a successful business in the city of Atlanta. But guess what? They've been doing it for 30 years. 30 years. We got to have that mindset. Facebook is a flash in the pan. Things like that don't happen that often. That's lightning in the bottle. That's lightning in the bottle. Uber is lightning in the bottle. Those are lightning in the bottle. Those types of things don't happen that often. What happens more often is the Starbucks story. Is the fact that that company was around for years before Howard Schultz came to him, and then it still took him 20 years to build it into a very successful business. That McDonald's still took years, 20, 30 years to become a successful business. That any business that is big today took 20 years before it started becoming a successful business. Get that into your mindset. The I gotta have it now mentality will keep you poor. But more importantly, the mentality that we must force integration of our dollar to other communities that don't support you, that don't like you, that don't treat you with dignity and respect. That we gotta force it in them. We gotta force them to think differently. No, we have to first force ourselves to think differently. We have to force the churches to say that, hey, we have business owners in this church. Support these businesses. Not once a year, not a job fair once a year, not an entrepreneurship program once a year or an entrepreneurship program that's going on behind the scenes. But if you can ask for tithes every Sunday, you can say support the businesses in this community, this church, every Sunday. And those businesses hire people from this church. The same thing at the mosques, the same thing at the synagogues, the temples, and everything else. We must force these people to change their mind. We must force true leadership. And more importantly, as far as leadership, we got to get behind true leadership. We have to get behind true leadership because we're not right now. We're not behind true leadership. Michael Jordan is not a leader of the black community. Oprah is not a leader of the black community. LeBron is not a leader of the black community. I'm not taking away anything that they've done, anything they've accomplished, any people that they've helped. But as far as being a leader, we do not have a Malcolm X. We do not have a Stokely Carmichael. We do not have a Dr. King. We don't have these leaders who are not out for themselves, who are not millionaires, billionaires. We do not have these people who are on the ground floor. Yeah, you may point to this person who runs and, oh, I'm gonna show up every time something happens. I'm gonna give my preach, I'm gonna give my sermon, we're gonna have a march. We're gonna have a march. We got those people who gonna run up and have a march, but then they do nothing. They leave nothing behind. They don't encourage, they don't build anything. True leadership builds. True leadership is someone who inspires other people to do better than they thought they ever could themselves. True leadership leaves a mark, leaves a legacy. True leadership creates a substantial difference in the community. That's what true leadership is. And we don't have that, and we have not had that for decades, for scores. We have not had that. Even during the time of Malcolm, most of the leaders got caught up into the entertainers, got caught up into the celebrity of it all, instead of sticking with the fact that we have to build industry. Let me ask you a question. Final thing before I go. Is Manny Pacquiao a leader in the Asian community? No. What's the little Patriots quarterback name? Is Brady, because I don't like the Patriots, is Brady a leader in the white community? Is he looked upon as a leader, or is he just a great football player? Answer me that question. Are any of their athletes leaders? Not the ones who left athletics and then they became politicians. While they were in the midst of their athletic journey, while they were in the midst of their comedic journey, were they leaders in their white community? When Carey, Drew Carey, the other Carey, when they were in their comedic empire, when they were building themselves as comedians, were they leaders in the white community? Did they look at Meryl Streep? Is Jack Nicklaus? Is Danny DeVito? Is Robert De Niro? Are they leaders in the white communities, or are they entertainers? Are they someone that they look up to that? No, they're not. So we have to stop doing that. We have to stop doing that and stop being sideways. We got to square ourselves up and change our lives. Now, I know I said that was the last thing, but one more last thing before I go. And that is this. Where does it start? Where does it start? It starts in your household. We have to understand how the game is played, how this game is played. We got to understand how money works, how investment works. We have to stop going for the quick fix money. We have to stop going for the get rich quick. We have to stop going for all these programs that promises you wealth, but you're never going to really obtain it. You can go to some of these programs, some of these classes, and pull some of the information, but then you got to do the work. A lot of these programs are designed for 98% of the people to fail. Now, understand that. Let's get into the understanding of that. If you open up a restaurant, only 80% of restaurants fail, but 98% of multi-level marketing fail. Which one is the better investment? Which one has the highest risk? Sure, one costs you a lot more than the other, but you can recover. You can recover from anything. We have to stop doing this to ourselves. We have to stop falling for these programs. Last night I discussed with people how you can do something real that doesn't require you spending a lot of money. I bought these bracelets, and I've been selling these bracelets just as a way to show my kids that you can increase your income in different ways. You guys know that I own Uncle Ren's Popcorn. I've been running this business for a while. It's something that it took time, and it's been developing, and it's continuing to develop, and it's growing into something that will be unbelievable because I'm willing to put in the time and the energy to do it. Brick and mortar businesses is not something that you need to be afraid of. Brick and mortar businesses are the ones that have more of a possibility of success, that has more sustainability. Many people run to a service business because it's easy and cheap to get involved. You cannot run for the easy. You must run for what's hard. As a Marine, when we see people running away from the danger, we ran towards the danger. We have to run towards what is successful. Many of you are afraid to pay for a coach. You have to stop being afraid to pay for assistance. Many of you are afraid of what people may think of you. You have to stop worrying about what people think of you. What somebody thinks of me, what somebody approves of what I do or disapproves of what I do, has absolutely no bearing on whether or not I'm going to do it and how I feel and what I know about myself. If I went through my credit score like I did last night on the podcast, do you think I care if somebody said, how can you be a Coach Renz? How can you talk about finances and all over the years your finances if you suffered through your credit score dipping like it did? It doesn't matter. Fact of the matter is, it happened. It wasn't my fault. But I took the responsibility to go ahead and fix it. You can do the same. And for anybody who asked the question, go to CoachRenz.com, download the 609 letter. But it's your responsibility to do the work. It's your responsibility to make things better for yourself and for your family. Don't blame your children for having bad financial knowledge if you never demonstrated it to them and you never taught them. That's your responsibility. We have to start in our homes first, and we have to start in our minds. We have to go ahead and go that extra mile. As a matter of fact, many of you can pool your money together and open up your own hair care supply store. You know it's going to sell. People are going to go there. You can go online to Alibaba and these other websites and you can get the product. Getting it wholesale is not a problem anymore. It's not an issue. It's not a challenge. You don't have to take the trip to Taiwan or China or anything like that. Many of you, you can get 10 of you, you can get 50 of you together, build a company, elect the president, elect the people who are going to run it, and you can build something in your community. Then there is an easy way to get people to come to your business, vice the other one. It's kind of slick. You may not like it, but I know it works. I know it works. You can do it. And I'm not telling you unless you want to get involved, because I'm not wasting air and wasting information like that on people. But I'm telling you, now, you know what? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Here's the thing. If I wanted to shut down one of the beauty supply stores in the black part of town that does not support the community, and make sure you understand I'm saying that does not support the community, then the simple thing that I would do is that I would ensure, whether I have to hire or if I can get volunteers, at least people who are willing to come out there twice a month or once a month. If I can get 60 people, once a month, you know, that we go out there in pairs and picket that business. They don't support the black community. Hey, sister, why are you going into there? Let me give you this is a place that's owned by a consortium of black business owners, black people in your community who are supporting this elementary school, this middle school, and this high school, who have mentorships, who are hiring the people in this community. Let's support ours. Let's support those who are supporting this community. I would have them out there, and we would do that for 6 months to a year. Remember, the Montgomery bus boycott lasted over a year in order for them to make the change, in order for them to feel enough pain. We would do this for 6 months to a year to ensure that people understand where a better option is, and it's better mainly not because of the service, but it will have better service, not because of the product, because it will have great products, but it's better because they support the community that they're in. Now, if you're Asian, if you're of another race and you're in the black community and you saw an opportunity and you take that opportunity and you support that community, you hire the people in that community, you support the education in that community, I have no problems with you. I have no problems with you. I applaud you. Because no matter where my business has been, I will hire the people in that community and I will support the people in that community. So I applaud you for that. But for those who do not, those are the ones I have a problem with. Those are the ones that we need to put in check. Those are the ones that need to be ran out of the community. So something as simple as that is a way to get started. Something as simple as that. It's nothing hard, but it's the ground floor thing. That's the thing that the kids in that community see. And if they see that, then they grow up believing that that's something they can do. And as long as they believe they can do something like that, they go on to do more and more and more until eventually, 50 years from now, that community is totally different. That community is an economic powerhouse. This is what the churches are not teaching. This is what the mosque is not teaching. This is what the current leadership is not teaching. This is why your entertainers are not leaders, because they're not teaching that. And that's what we have to teach. That's what we have to do. Now, for real, that was it for this video. So, hey, thank you guys who subscribe to this channel. If you're over on Facebook, you got to come over here and subscribe if you want to be a winner for any of the giveaways. I really appreciate you guys. Appreciate all my subscribers and my patrons. And remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable.